cis gay people as a whole tend to have the most problematic and most hateful opinions.
I am proud to be one of the gays with the problematic opinions, according to this person. All right, you sick people. It's time for your favorite part of the show, where I lose brain cells and react to LGBT cringe from the Clock app. Buckle up and get ready, because we got a couple doozies on deck for today, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Up first, this trans TikToker keeps comparing gender to food, and I just want it to stop.
I get a lot of questions about how gender can just be assigned at birth. How do you assign a gender? This is how. So when we're born, we're assigned one of two different sugar packets. There's the pink one for girls and the blue one for boys. The way they determine which sugar packet you get is an educated guess based on your body. So typically when people have bodies like mine, they will give you a blue sugar packet. Now, I held on to this blue sugar packet for many years and I never liked it. In fact, I always thought it was a terrible fit for me. I'm just not an equal person. In fact, I'm more of an enjoy person. But I was given the sugar packet. What am I supposed to do? Now here's the rub. You're given a sugar packet, but you actually have another sugar packet in your pocket that is your true sugar packet. So I, 27 years in, looked in my pocket and found out, ooh, the pink one was here all along. I actually am an enjoy pink sugar packet. So I got rid of the blue sugar packet, goodbye, and fully embrace myself as an enjoy sugar packet in 2024.
Can we just not? I still have PTSD from when this TikToker talked about their bottom surgery and compared it to food. It's like the food thing is a really consistent theme with this person. I have some issues with the framing in this video as well. Like, your sex is not assigned at birth. It is observed. Your sex is an immutable, objective fact that we can tell from your secondary sex characteristics in almost all cases. There could be very rare genetic conditions, like intersex conditions, where the doctors might inaccurately assess your sex, but 99+% of the time, they are simply observing an objective, clear-cut reality. There is no assigning going on. It really shouldn't be that hard to explain that while objective biological sex is a fact and is immutable, there are some people who experience gender dysphoria and who from a very young age feel trapped in the wrong body, desperately want to be seen and perceived as the opposite gender, and that for those people, if it persists into adulthood, the best thing for them is to live life appearing as the opposite sex, and that they should be free to do so, and other people should accommodate them with respect and dignity. But instead, they have to go into this weird territory of like denying that the objective reality exists and then weirdly comparing it to food? I don't know, man. I don't know, but I'm not a fan of this person's content. Up next, this lesbian TikTok is interesting.
Hi, how are you? I love being a lesbian and going to the gynecologist because it makes for my favorite interaction. Okay, so the first time I ever went to one, she got right down and jiggy with it and she was like, are you sexually active? I was like, oh my god, you noticed? I mean, I dabble. And she was like, okay, do you wear protection? I was like, no. That's when we played a little Uno reverse, okay? And then she was like, all right, what about birth control? I was like, I'm okay, but double it and give it to the next person. She was like, all right, what about babies? And I was like, I'm not in an economic space to have one, but if you want one, ye and dare I say hot and follow your bliss. She was like, all right, kiddo, listen up. If you're getting down and jiggy with it without protection, 2 + 2 = you're gonna get pregnant. Oh, and no one's gonna help her. Shorty bae, I'm a fruit by the foot, okay? I'm a grade A carpet muncher. I thought I filled this out on a form out there somewhere, okay? Silly of me. That's when she started to get redder than Larry Lobster, tried to rectify the situation, gave me a little attaboy, a little crispy, wispy high five. At one point, I thought she was gonna give me an award for best ensemble in a female picture only, okay? And the problem is that this happens every single time. At this point, I think I need to start walking in these rooms, say hi, Alaire Thomas neighborhood lesbian, just so we can save a little time and effort. Anyway, thank you.
So she's a lot. She's kind of funny. I'll give her that. And this video is at least partially meant tongue-in-cheek, so I'm not going to overthink it too much. But I do just want to point out that if the doctors took one look at her and assumed she was a lesbian, they would say that's problematic. So I feel like from their perspective, they kind of can't win on this one. But that's not exactly unusual with LGBT discourse these days. Up next, this TikToker has thoughts, and we're gonna listen to them, I guess.
Oh, how would I explain drag queens to my kids? Your child is practicing hiding from an active shooter at school on a monthly basis. I think they can handle hearing that some adults like to play dress up.
So that's a lot, but these two things aren't related. They are just utterly unrelated. And actually, what I would say is that kids should have neither. Kids don't need to be going to drag shows. Drag is adult entertainment. It is, in most cases, heavily sexual and sexualized. And I just can't think of a good reason that a kid really needs to be exposed to that, or why drag queens would really feel strongly that they need to expose kids to that. It's not just dress up. There's more to it than that. And that's really kind of disingenuous. And I actually agree that it is bad that we force kids to do these scary drills that accomplish very, very little, and all in anticipation of an event that is an extreme statistical anomaly. It won't ever happen in almost any kid, in almost any school's life. And so to scare them and traumatize them with these drills, I think does far more harm than good. But again, really has nothing to do with whether drag queens need to perform in front of kids, my dude. And finally, we have another TikToker who has some feedback for the cis gays and the cis lesbians who are not woke enough, I guess.
Cis gay people as a whole tend to have the most problematic and most hateful opinions, all while being the most fragile part of the LGBTQ community. When I have criticized cis gay men in the past, saying, hey, I kind of feel like cis gay men fetishize trans people, and also the community feels a little bit fatphobic. Cis gay men accuse me of being homophobic, of being a prude, of being fucking stupid, sometimes saying, well, you're a fucking girl, so why do you even care what cis gay men do? Similarly, when I say, wow, I don't like it when cis lesbians say that non-binary people can't be lesbians. Cis lesbians come out of the woodwork and say that I'm being lesbophobic and horrible because I happen to specify cis lesbians instead of some other part of the community. So here, I'll direct this to all cis gay people, regardless of where you fall in the LGBTQ community. You need to think about who was fighting for your rights in the 1950s and 60s. You need to think about who has been standing beside you since the very beginning, and who right now is being treated shittier than you are. And you need to care about it.
There is so much here, y'all. First, I am proud to be one of the gays with the problematic opinions, according to this person. As for the complaints that trans people are fetishized by gay men, I mean, look, in some cases that might be true, and I'm sure that's an unpleasant experience, but you also say that it is problematic if gay men don't want to date trans men, but then you're also mad if they are into it. I mean, again, like, you kind of can't complain in both scenarios. As for the gay community being fat-phobic, I mean, yes, in the sense that there are like very extreme body standards and gay men are really concerned with being thin and fit and all that. But I also kind of reject the concept of fat phobia as some form of discrimination akin to homophobia or racism or something, because in almost all circumstances, being fat is a choice. It's a product of your choices. It's not some immutable characteristic about you you can't change. And so I don't want people to be mean to fat people or anything like that. But holding an opinion about somebody or treating someone differently because of their choices is an entirely different thing than discriminating against somebody because of their immutable traits that they can't control. And it pisses me off that this person is still pushing the non-binary people can be lesbians thing. No, babe, your Delulu is showing again. If you're non-binary, you're saying you reject the idea of being a woman. And a lesbian is a woman who loves other women. So which is it? Are you non-binary or lesbian? Actually, hold up. I kind of agree that non-binary people can be lesbians. Because non-binary isn't real, so a non-binary lesbian is just a female who is a lesbian and is attracted to other females. Unless it's a male non-binary person, then you just can't be a lesbian. Sorry, not how it works. And don't you dare hit me with the lesbian is non-man who likes non-man. That's sexist. That's regressive. Lesbians are women. They are not non-men. So yes, babe, I'm not surprised the lesbians do call you lesbian phobic or lesbophobic or whatever the term is for saying that, because you kind of are. And I just cannot stand this weird historical revisionism that somehow gay people owe all their rights to trans people. Which also, like, objectively doesn't apply to non-binary people like this individual. There were no non-binary people at the Stonewall riots. Also, the whole idea they were led by trans people is mostly mythical. And actually, it doesn't even matter. Because even if we did owe all our rights to trans people somehow, which is just complete ahistorical fiction, but even if we did, that still wouldn't prohibit us from disagreeing with some of the things you're saying or doing now. Anybody who would let loyalty or gratitude for past actions override their ability to logically think and assess and reach their own conclusions on issues isn't a thinking person. They're just an NPC. But I think it's safe to say there are a whole lot of NPCs in the LGBT community these days. All right, everybody, that's it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button and maybe even consider subscribing and sticking around if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're on one of the podcast platforms, please take a second to rate and review the show or recommend it to a friend. With that, I'll talk to you all next week.